Søren Kierkegaard's Fear and Trembling, 1843, is a profound exploration of faith, ethics, and the nature of religious belief. The book is centered around the biblical story of Abraham and Isaac, where Abraham is commanded by God to sacrifice his son. Kierkegaard examines this story through the lens of what he calls the knight of faith, a person who makes a leap beyond reason and ethical duty into a deeply personal relationship with God. This leap of faith is not irrational, but transcends human logic, placing absolute trust in the divine. Kierkegaard contrasts Abraham's faith with the ethical norms of society, which would condemn his willingness to kill his son. He introduces the concept of the teleological suspension of the ethical, arguing that sometimes obedience to God requires setting aside conventional morality. This paradoxical act is what makes Abraham the father of faith. His trust in God defies human understanding, yet it is not an abandonment of ethics, but a movement beyond it. The book also presents two opposing figures, the knight of faith and the knight of resignation. The knight of resignation accepts suffering and loss, but does not make the leap into faith. In contrast, the knight of faith believes that even in the face of impossible odds, God will provide a resolution. This idea of faith is deeply personal, requiring an individual to stand alone before God without relying on societal norms or philosophical reasoning. Kierkegaard criticizes the idea that faith is simply an easy or comfortable belief system. He argues that true faith involves anxiety, struggle, and even despair. It is not a rational calculation, but an existential challenge, requiring a total commitment to something that cannot be logically proven. Abraham's trial represents the highest test of faith, trusting in the absurd, that God's promise will be fulfilled despite all evidence to the contrary. Ultimately, Fear and Trembling is an exploration of what it means to truly believe. Kierkegaard suggests that faith is not a matter of intellectual certainty, but of deep personal conviction. It demands courage, isolation, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. The book challenges readers to reconsider their own understanding of belief, sacrifice, and the nature of commitment in their personal and spiritual lives. Life lessons from Fear and Trembling. True faith requires a leap beyond reason. Kierkegaard teaches that faith is not about logical proofs or societal approval, but about taking a personal leap of trust into the unknown. In life, we often have to commit to things without full certainty, whether in relationships, careers, or personal growth. Ethics alone cannot define a meaningful life. While ethical living is important, Kierkegaard argues that sometimes a higher purpose demands moving beyond conventional morality. This teaches us that rigid societal rules should not always dictate our actions. Sometimes personal conviction must take precedence. Courage is necessary for personal transformation. Like Abraham, we may face moments when we must stand alone in our decisions. Personal growth often requires making difficult choices that others may not understand or support. Courage means staying true to our convictions despite external pressures. Faith involves struggle and doubt. True belief, whether religious or personal, does not come easily. It involves wrestling with uncertainty and fear. Kierkegaard's perspective reminds us that doubt is not the opposite of faith, but a necessary part of developing true conviction. Embrace the paradox of life. Life is full of contradictions, and sometimes the most meaningful decisions seem absurd or impossible. Faith, according to Kierkegaard, means trusting that even when things appear hopeless, there is a path forward. Learning to live with paradox helps us navigate the complexities of life with resilience and hope.